Hello students, now we are in question number 35. Okay, so question number 35 is a very interesting question because you can see here that Mr. Datta and Mr. Das, okay, their shares are being forfeited here. Okay, so their shares are forfeited at the end. So we will see that portion afterwards, but let us just first try to understand whatever I have extracted here, okay, in this table. So Mr. Datta, who had been allotted 200 shares, failed to pay the allotment money, okay, as well as the first call money. Okay, I have already told you that if any number of shares fail to pay a call money, okay, a call on allotment or be it first call, okay, and the subsequent calls will be in arrear by default, okay. And Mr. Das, who failed to pay first and final call on his 150 shares, okay. So let us see. uh, When the application money is received, the entry will be bank account debit to share application account. Okay, and when we transfer the application money to equity share capital account, the entry will be share application account debit to equity share capital account. Okay, it is just a transfer of the money, that whatever the money that you are receiving as your application money is only transferred to equity share capital account. Okay, and now the third entry, we can see here that allotment money is to be due, and allotment money includes securities premium reserve, that is the premium of rupees 2 per share. So the allotment money is rupees 5, which includes the premium of rupees 2 per share. So the entry will be share allotment account debit to equity share capital account to securities premium reserve account. Okay, so in equity share capital account, you can see that the amount is 5,000 into 3. Okay, that is the actual amount, okay, of allotment. And this SPR will involve rupees 2 here, okay, for the premium money. Okay, so when we receive the allotment money, okay, the entry will be bank account debit, call scenario account debit to share allotment, because we saw here that Mr. Datta, who held who held 200 shares, failed to pay the allotment money on time. So bank account debit, call scenario account debit to share allotment. So we are receiving the allotment money except for 200 shares. Please follow the narration also. Okay, read the narration also, because this narration is the justification of that particular entry. Okay, now we have to make the another entry for the call money, which is your share first and final call account debit to equity share capital account. Okay, so here, now when the first and final call money was in arrear, it involves both Mr. Datta and Mr. Das's number of shares that they held together, okay, which is your 350. So the entry is bank account debit, calls and arrear account debit to share first and final call account. Now you can see here the number is 350. Okay, and in time of allotment it was only 200. Why? Because it only involved uh, the entire share of Mr. Datta, and this also involved Mr. Das share. Okay, so now we have to forfeit the number of shares. So entry will be equity share capital account debit, securities premium reserve account debit to call scenario to share forfeiture. Okay, we have this SPR account also debited because we did not receive the SPR uh, when allotment was due. Okay, here at this point of time, that's why SPR is appearing in the debit side. Okay, so this is the entry for forfeiture of 350 shares. Okay, now we are reissuing 300 number of shares. Okay, we forfeited 350 shares, but we are only reissuing 300 number of shares. So the entry will be bank account debit, share forfeiture account debit to equity share capital account. Okay, how we come to know that share forfeiture account will be debited here? Because whenever the shares are reissued below the nominal price or the called up value, we always come to know that share forfeiture will come up here in the debit side. Okay, don't worry about the amounts now because we have to make the working note here. Okay, only after this working note you will come to know. So this is your entry for the reissue of 300 shares, and this is your entry on profit that has been transferred to capital reserve. Okay, so okay, let us see the working note. Okay, because whatever the amounts are here, okay, from the first entry, okay, you can see here all the amounts are very easy to find it. Okay, but about this you need to have a look at this working note. Okay, and this is very much important. Now we are actually forfeiting Mr. Datta's share and Mr. Das's share. Okay, so amount of forfeiture of Mr. Datta is equals to 200 into 3 equals to rupees 600. Okay, and amount of forfeiture of Mr. Das is equals to 150 into 6 equals to 900. Okay, so we are forfeiting these number of shares. Okay, so it is very much important for us to know that whatever is the amount of forfeiture, okay, be it rupees 600 or be it rupees 900, okay, you should know that amount of forfeiture is actually the amount of money that has been already paid. Okay, so here you can see that Mr. Datta, he paid application money, okay, which was rupees 3 per share. Okay, Mr. Datta, he paid application money. So this is your application money. This rupees 3 is actually representing application money. Okay, and Mr. Das, he paid application as well as allotment. Okay, so application and allotment together is how much? 3 plus 3. Okay, excluding SPR, remember. Okay, excluding SPR, it is 3 plus 3, that is rupees 3 on application and rupees 3 on allotment. Okay, remember that application, sorry, this allotment money is rupees 5, but if you exclude premium of rupees 2, it will be rupees 3 per share. So 150 into 3 plus 3 equals to 900. Okay, so this is it. Okay, so now reissue uh, number of shares involve the entire number of Mr. Datta's share. Okay, so this 600 is already involved here. Okay, but out of this Mr. Das, okay, out of 150 shares, we are only issuing 100 number of shares. So we have to see that how much is the amount of forfeiture on 100 number of shares of Mr. Das. So we come to know that amount of forfeiture on 150 shares of Mr. Das is rupees 900. Okay, so amount of forfeiture on one share of Mr. Das is equals to rupees 6. Okay, so amount of forfeiture on 100 shares of Mr. Das is equals to rupees 600. Okay, so now this 600 plus 600 together will be 1200. Okay, because we are reissuing 300 number of shares. So 300 number of shares involves 200 shares of Mr. Datta, okay, and 100 shares of Mr. Das. So this 600 plus 600, this 600 is for 100 shares of Mr. Das. Okay, so that is why this 600 plus 600 will be 1200. Now we can see here we have share forfeiture in the debit side. How much it is? 300. So 1200 minus 300 will be how much? 900. So this is how we get the profit on reissue of forfeited shares. So the remaining balance, whatever is the balance of forfeiture amount of Mr. Das, will be 300. Okay, because entire shares of Mr. Datta is reissued, so there is no balance left out here. Okay, but out of Mr. Das's share, okay, out of this 150 shares, we are reissuing 100 shares. So remaining shares of Mr. Das is 50. So this 300, it actually represents those 50 number of shares that has been forfeited. Okay, this is your question number 35.